Hello, everybody.
Oh, hello.
Today we're going to be doing a deck profile / tournament report for the Bandai CoreTCG tournament that happened on Sunday. In particular, that is the one that I played in. And yeah, before I get started, I'm going to say everything's very early. Everything is very new and fresh in the Digimon scene. So take everything you hear with a grain of salt because there's really not a ton of experience, at least in the US and outside of Japan, with this stuff. So, but I'll also say this deck is not going to be a surprise to anybody. So I wanted to do this video as both a deck profile, but also just a tournament report, right? So you can see my thought process, why I like some cards, how I played, what I kind of figured out or thought about the meta in general. So yeah, without further ado, we will just get into the goods, if you will. All right. So the first thing you want to start with, so the deck that I was playing, I'll just tell you now, it is a Blue Omnimon deck. And this Blue Omnimon deck was focused on consistency over everything else. Consistency in terms of draw and consistency in terms of, memory and memory efficiency, if you will. Not going to be a huge surprise there. I think a lot of Blue Omnimon decks are kind of the same, but I have some thoughts as to why I really do think that in this meta, at least, certain things are just probably better. So in terms of the babies, let's just start. We got 4 Upamons. The one that gives you draw 1 if your opponent doesn't have anything underneath one of their mons. I think straight up, this is just the best baby. Don't at me, the best blue baby. So we're gonna play 5 though. In terms of that consistency, having a mon that you can hatch the whole game, that you can get that free draw out of if you have a rookie, is wildly useful. I don't see any reason right now not to play 5. If you do end up with this, it doesn't matter. This is you have 4 of these. Most of them that game are going to be that type of baby. So we got 4 Upamons, 1 Wenyamon. I don't know names, man. But in terms of the consistency, here's where I played in a tournament. 2 or 3 days prior to this, a very 16-person tournament, super tiny. I ended up only won 1 match, not a whole round, just 1 match in the whole tournament out of all 3 with almost the same deck. So it shows you how much you can learn in this early meta just from one time playing it. So we are going to be playing 4 of these Elecmons. I like this. It's a 2-cost drop. So this is a great way if you can evolve into another rookie, but you have this in hand, then you set your opponent at 2. Really good way to start off the game, get another mon on board and not give your opponent that much in terms of memory. Here is something that I changed from the Thursday. I originally had a couple of Barramons in. I just wanted more vanillas, but somebody was like, you should really just play the other Gomamon that is a 2-drop. Because, again, to the point of Elecmon, it's just a 2-drop. So we're playing 3 of those. Then we've got 3 of the other Gomamon that has on deletion gain 1 memory. So, to the point of consistency, playing that memory battle and having, the ability to gain some memory and maybe end your opponent's turn if they knock something out is super useful. So we're playing 4 of those. And then we are playing 3 of the Gabumon. This is just the promo version, but it's the one that says on play, draw 1. So what you already are seeing out of this blue deck is there are 14 rookies in here, which I don't think it's super high, but it is definitely a lot of rookies for a deck that also is running Omnimon, right? Because you need the space for 4 of those Omnimon. So finding that space while still having 14 rookies is kind of hard. But that's what I'm saying about this consistency. What I found throughout the first tournament I did, plus this Sunday tournament. So side note, I got 15th place at the tournament. I went 5-2. Should have probably mentioned that in the upfront. Went 5-2, but I'm sure the title or thumbnail will say that. But really, what this helped me do is I very rarely had completely dead hands. I think I had two games that I had some really bad hands to start with. But you have draw if you hard play this. You have gaining memory if you play that. You've got a bunch of 2-cost drops that you can play. So that for me was something I wanted to focus on, was just drawing in an early meta with a limited card pool and knowing that people are probably going to be playing suboptimal decks for whatever reason, right? They're trying out something new. They're over-teching for a meta that is really not that complicated. or they just don't have the cards that they need, right? Like, that's just a reality of this early tournament is, including myself, sometimes you just don't have all the cards you would want to make your perfect deck. So focusing entirely on consistency this early in the format just feels like it's better. So it's not sexy by any means, but it works. So that is why we're playing 14 rookies, including the draw one with Gabumon. Now, any things that you might change about this? You could go down one Gabumon, to be honest, and go up one of these 2 Gomamons, or you could go up to 4 of these Gabumons, but it's fine. It works relatively. Once you start playing with 3 versus 4, yeah, my thoughts there. And then we get into the level 4s. The level 4s, again, if you're playing a consistency build and you want to draw, the whole goal is to draw and be as energy and memory efficient, if you will, as you can, you're gonna play this Gorillamon. Any blue deck, I really do think any blue deck has to play this Gorillamon. It's a 1-cost level 4. If you go turn 1, going first, you can evolve into a level 3, evolve into Gomamon, leave your opponent with 1 memory to start the game, and you have a level 4 already on the field. So there's just no downside to playing it. I like 4, again, consistency. You're gonna hear that a lot. Same thing with 4 of these Grizzlymons. You need all 4 of your blockers. There's Rookie Rush out there, and it just comes in handy to force your opponent to make some weird decisions or to buy you time. So we're playing 4 of these Grizzlymons. And then we are playing 3 of this Garurumon, which is a 6-cost drop to unsuspend one of your Digimon, but it's also only a 2-cost to evolve into. So, to be honest, it's like I evolved into it most times. So there was a couple of games where I would drop for 6 if I had some extra memory. Unsuspend something so my opponent couldn't hit into it easily. They would have to have some other shenanigans to get rid of it. So that did come in handy from time to time. But as you can see, we got 14 rookies and 11 level 4s. So pretty, I think, you can maybe go up to 12 level 4s, but there's really not a lot of space for that. But there's maybe 1 card you could cut later. But yeah, so pretty consistent way to just start building up your board state. Then we got the level 5s. And again, like the Gorillamon, if you're playing a blue deck right now, the energy efficiency is kind of what blue wins on. And like I was saying, just being able to play things down and draw as much as you can on your turns is how blue wins. Just to be frank, having a giant hand is how blue wins. So we are going to be playing 4 of the Monzemon because it's only 2 costs to drop a level 5, and it's only a 5 cost to drop a level 5 straight up, which is very, very good for a level 5, because then you're only 2 Evos away from Omnimon. So you could drop a level 5, go into a Plesiomon for 2, so that's 7 memory, and you've got Memory Spark, right? And then go into Omnimon. I literally had a turn where I went no Mons on the board and was able to go Monzemon because my opponent left me with 5 or 6. They left me with 6, I think. Trying to do the math right. Yeah, they left me with 6. So I was able to drop Monzemon, go to 1, Hammer Spark, go to 2, into Plesiomon, go to 0, into Omnimon, and delete 2 Omnimons on their side of the board. Now, it was a weird game. I didn't win that game because they had like 4 other Mons that could attack the following turn, but being able to go from 0 to 100 basically with just, a couple of Hammer Sparks and 5 memory, your opponent will leave you with that memory, that amount of memory in the late game when they're trying to clear your other Omnimons or things out. So I think playing that Monzemon is super important. And then we have 4 of these Garurumons here because of the security +1. The security +1 is absolutely insane in this deck. Your opponent is very likely to have a blocker or 2 or some Mon that doesn't have anything underneath it at some point in the game, and that gives whatever's on top of this, which is going to be probably a Plesiomon, maybe a Garurumon. It's going to have whatever's on top of it, maybe even an Omnimon. So then you're swinging basically for 4 security, and they have to decide, well, I guess I have to block with this. So that is very good in this deck. Again, none of this is probably that surprising. None of this deck is really, again, it's all consistency. That's what this deck is. We have 4 Plesiomons here. Again, 2 cost drop at level 6 to evolve, 2 cost evolution. So definitely something you want to play. Plesiomon's was like, I loved seeing it in my hands when I had level 5s, and it was perfect math, basically. And then outside of that, this is where the level 6 is. Like, you could maybe play around with this a little bit, but we have 2 of the Metal Garurumons. I will say, I actually didn't use this all too much in the games I played. Might just be situational. I still think it's good in this deck, but you can pull out a Grizzlymon from underneath it if you want, or some other Mons when you attack. So 2 Metal Garurumons feels pretty good. And then we have 2 of the Metal Seadramons. Now, this is where Blue Omni decks, you know, you could have variations. And this is why I'm calling this like super consistency. I'm keeping it all in the blue family, 1, because this spot right here for Metal Seadramon could easily go to things like, I think, is it Magnadramon? That's a yellow. You could also put Volcanic Dramon in there. That's a red. Both of those have effects of basically some, I don't know, either security gain or board clear, but like some larger game state effects when you drop. And Metal Seadramon has the same thing roughly as Volcanic Dramon, which is you send 2 level 4s to your opponent's hand and all the things underneath get trashed. So you can drop this and sort of clear a couple things off the board and prevent yourself from losing on the following turn. So this was something where I originally had just 1 in the deck on the tournament before. And this is where the whole consistency argument for me comes in again, which is I don't think that 1-ofs are necessarily that useful in this current meta and form, and maybe even for this game in general at the time being, just because there's really not a way to search out most 1-ofs in most decks, right? There might be exceptions. I'm not 100% familiar with every card, but I found I do have a 1-of in this deck, and that is Matt, the Tamer. I only saw it in my hand twice out of all 7 rounds. Twice. I played it once, and that is my 1-of. It's my only 1-of in the deck, and it's just kind of a plus, right? Like, I mean, if I get it, it's great. If I don't, whatever. It doesn't matter. But that should tell you how often you should hope to see a 1-of. And if you have a 1-of for matchups that you're worried about, that's not going to help you. So I would say play at least 2 of anything. And the reason I would play 2 is 2 Metal Seadramons was the difference between me being 5-2 and 4-3. I played a purple rookie sort of rush style deck early in the tournament, and having Metal Seadramon in my hand by the mid game meant I could throw it down on the 1 turn I needed to board clear, so that my opponent couldn't take their last security on their turn. And that was literally all I needed in order to win the game. And that happened twice. 2 games in a row, I was able to get this out and go 2-0 in that. So without that, 100% I would have lost. I would have started 1-1, basically. So Metal Seadramon as a 2-of, I like. You could go Volcanic Dramon, but again, I like this because you could also just use this as a regular level 6 Evo rather than an on-play effect in different matchups. Whereas Volcanic Dramon, you can't Evo into it. So if you're playing 2 Volcanic Dramon, you will have games that are against non-rookie rush decks, basically, or against decks that, yeah, are bigger, that you're like, this is a useless card in my hand because I can't Evo into this to get into my Omnimon. So again, that's why, you know, consistency right now, I really value. There's arguments for everything, but I personally am really valuing consistency. It's one thing I've learned from also just my Pokemon days, that if you can lean on consistency and just do that really well, then you're going to have more success than not, generally speaking. So yeah, those are the 2 Metal Seadramons. And then we get into the thing this deck is kind of built around, which is 4 Omnimons. Just a small flex there with the alt art. But 4 Omnimons here. I mean, if you don't know what Omnimon does, it has the Wind Digivolving effect. You can delete every Digimon with the same name that's on the battlefield on your opponent's side. So if they have 2 blockers, you could delete 2. Like I said, I deleted 2 Omnimons with this in 1 turn. So it's really useful. Blue Omni mirrors are tough. It's just basically who gets into it. Same thing, I think, with Red Omni. It's just a tempo game, so you got to figure out how to play that. And sometimes, you know, it's nice to think you could play around things perfectly, but it's also, this game is about having what you have in hand, which is why getting as much draw as possible by evolving, having cards that give you straight draw, having things that give you memory on deletion, all that stuff, for me, is just super important. That's why I focused on that, is just get me that giant hand size, give me every option available to me whenever I can. Yeah. And then the only other cards we have 4 of the Hammer Sparks, which basically just gets you a free memory. And it's also good from the security. I'll tell you my security stories as part of the tournament report in a second. And then we have one mat. This is my one of. You could certainly cut this. To be honest, it's a fun one of. If you cut this, though, maybe you could put a 4th Garurumon in there as a level 4, so you have 12 level 4s to be even more consistent. You could put a 3rd, I don't know, Metal Garurumon, or I don't know what else maybe another rookie if you want 15 rookies in this deck. But there's also one of that is, I can't remember the name of it, but it's an option card that I think basically deletes one of your opponent's mons, for better or worse. It's like a 7 cost that I played against, and my opponent had it, and it won them the game, one game, roughly. So again, though, I don't love one-ofs. This is a one-of that is a bonus that I don't need on any given turn. If you're playing a one-of that you need, then that might not work out for you. In terms of my tournament report, broadly speaking, I played a variety of decks. I played 1 black deck, 2 purple decks. One of them was more rush focused, and one of them was a purple Millenniumon. I played 2 blue Omni mirrors, and I played 2 red Gallantmon decks, one of which had Omni and one of which didn't. So the 2 decks that I lost to were the purple Millenniumon deck. That deck went on to be the deck that was played in the finals. So the last 2 undefeateds, it was that purple Millenniumon versus, I don't know what the winner played actually, but so I lost to the person who played in the finals, and then the other loss that I had was a blue Omni mirror. And the blue Omni mirror, the opponent played really, really well, and it just be like that sometimes. Like, they have the cards, you don't, and this game over, right? So that's kind of, the blue Omni mirrors are not great. So maybe there's cards like Puppetmon or whatever you could think about throwing in as a 2 of if you're really worried about Omni mirrors. But other than that, yeah, I'm just gonna tell you a quick little story about my bad security luck. I will say, I'll preface, everyone has bad and good luck in all these matches. I can't complain too much getting 15th, but bad security luck, and you can watch all my matches actually on Twitch. I streamed them. There's 2 VODs. My computer crashed literally in the middle of one stream in game, and anyways, you can watch basically all my matches over there. But one bad security thing, the purple that I lost to, the very last turn, my last turn of the whole series, was a best of 3, win all 3 games into overtime, and I attacked, and the 2 cards, there was 3 security left, and I could do 7 security checks that turn. So I was like, I probably got this. But if one of these next 2 is a trump sword, then I lose. I attack, that 1 card is a trump sword, and I lose. And that just, it was so bad. It was so bad that was like there was just 2 specific securities that couldn't be trump sword. And he hit trump sword, and then, you win the game. And that's really good luck for my opponent, bad luck for me. And I'm like, okay, fine, bad security luck. Later in the game, I had a Hammer Spark security. I did Hammer Spark. I hit in, got Hammer Sparked, turn ended, lost the game. Okay, another bad security that lost me the game on the last turn of that game. I had another game where I had Hammer Spark in my own security, and it was against a Gallantmon. Now, I didn't lose this game, but in terms of bad luck, Gallantmon hit. This was the card he trashed. And if it had been the security he checked, I would have won that game because he would have gone over his memory. So I'm like, oh, come on, I can't get any. And then finally, the kicker, I was playing another deck against red. I won this game, luckily, but I got double Gaia Forced from security in 1 turn. Attack, Gaia Force. Oh my gosh, that's crazy. Attack, Gaia Force. Like, so I got trump sorted, Hammer Sparked, and double Gaia Forced, all in 1 tournament. Anyways, I would say if I didn't build high consistency, my luck is not with me, clearly, in terms of security checks. So without super consistency and memory efficiency, I would have not done as well as I did by far. But anyways, hopefully y'all enjoyed this little deck profile and quick little tournament report. Again, nothing groundbreaking here. Just my thoughts on the meta is like, I really do think consistency and memory efficiency are two really important things in the meta. Like, they're always important, right? But particularly important if you want to do well and not just have a one tournament run that you just get lucky and get paired against things that you beat and draw really well. Like, I don't ever rely on drawing well, to be honest. It doesn't work out for me. But let me know what you think. Thank you for watching this. And yeah, hopefully I will see you in future webcam events. Carpe awesome.